Hi DIYers, Sterling from Alarm Grid here, and today we're going to show you the installation video of a Honeywell L7000 wireless security system. The L7000 is a great system. It's a control panel, the brains of the system. It's a touchscreen keypad to control the system. It's got a wireless receiver built in, so it's compatible with all of the Honeywell 5800 series wireless sensors. It's got a built-in siren, and it supports Wi-Fi, cellular, and Z-Wave communications. So for the monitoring, you can do internet or cellular monitoring, and you can also integrate with Z-Wave home automation, lights, locks, and thermostats to make it a smart home system. We're going to need a small Phillips head screwdriver. When we make our wired connection, if you're not going to use your LT cable, you're going to want some wire strippers. We have a power drill for when we're going to screw in our screw holes to screw the back plate to the wall. We have a level measuring tape so that we can make sure it's nice and neat and clean on the wall. And we even have this nice plastic wire track so that when we mount the cable outside the wall, we can hide it and make sure it looks nice and neat. In our L5100 video, we show you how to fish the wire through the wall, which is the way most professionals would do it, so you don't see the wire. But in this case, we're going to show you an alternative option, which is a little bit easier, and with this piece, it'll make it still nice and clean and neat so you're not seeing the wire. So now that we've gone through what you're going to need for the installation, let's get down to it. To determine the proper mounting position, we're going to orient ourselves off of our wall outlet that's going to be supplying our power from our power supply, and then work our way up to where the panel will go. We're going to use our wire track here, so that's pretty much going to determine our mounting height. So we're going to show you the way to properly and cleanly install this system. In the past, on our L5100 video, we showed you how to plug this in, route your wire through a hole, and fish it up. Like I said earlier, we're going to show you an easier way where we're not going to fish through the wall, but we're still going to make the wire nice and clean. The way to do that is to simply, when you plug your power supply in, plug it in upside down. Your wiring is going to come up the top here, straight into the panel, and then we'll use our wire track so that everything is hidden. So it's a nice clean installation. We're going to first show you to do it with the stranded wire that we have. We're using 4 conductor, 22 gauge, 18 gauge will work as well. So we simply want to strip our wire back. We have our 4 conductors. Okay. Red, black, green, and white. For our connection here, we only need 2 conductors. You can either double up, so you could do black and green, or red and green and black and white, or even easier, we can just strip back 2 of these connections, and we'll just use the black and the red. So now we're just going to strip off a bit of the end here. To get our nice exposed copper, which we need to make the connection to the transformer. I find that with the stranded, if you twist it a little bit, keep it from fraying on you. So we now have our connections, which are going to go to the terminals. So we have our 4 conductors. We're only going to use 2 conductors in this case, positive and negative. So we can snip these white and green down. We have our 2. We want to make sure that we have enough so that you have a little play to connect to your screws here. And again, very important that we observe polarity. unlike most Honeywell wired transformers or transformers for wired security systems, this transformer is polarity conscious. Red will go to positive. If you do a nice little fish hook at the end, you can hook it around the screw. So you unscrew the screw to get a little gap. You hook it around the back of the screw, and then you tighten it down so that there's no exposed copper and you have a nice tight connection. Same thing on the negative side. We use our black wire, we have our hook. We've left enough gap so that we can manipulate this wire. We get it behind the screw and we tighten it down. So now, nice firm little tug, nothing's coming loose. We have a nice tight connection. This plugs into the wall, provides the power. So now that we're connected nice and tight, the typical installation, if you were to fish, you would plug at the bottom plug, and you'll see that there's a screw here which lines up perfectly with the screw of your wall outlet plate. So you could remove the screw, remove the plate, remove the screw, leave the plate, and then you would plug this in, and this screw would then hold the plate down, and it will also hold this transformer from getting unplugged in case someone doesn't realize what this is powering. A lot of times when you are fishing through the wall, your outlet may be very far from your install spot, and it may just be this phantom transformer on the wall. No one knows where it's going. That's why they include this screw, so that no one unplugs your security system not knowing it's a critical item. So with us, because we're going to mount it directly over the outlet, it's okay, we're not going to need that. We're going to understand what this transformer is. No one's going to unplug it. So instead, we're going to take that screw out, because when we plug it in upside down, the screw doesn't quite line up perfectly. So we're just going to plug it in this way to make the nice clean install, to show with the wire track instead of fishing through the wall. But that's just showing you how to do it, and if you were going to do it the other way, that's what that screw would be used for. So now that we have it connected, we're going to show you how and where we're going to mount the back plate to get our L7000 on the wall. So with our transformer plugged in, we're going to use this nice piece of wire track to determine where we're going to mount it. Essentially, this will be hiding the wire from the transformer up. This will be the bottom of our panel, and we'll screw it in here. The way this wire track works is there's just a small gap on the side to fit through the wiring. There's a strip of double-sided tape on the back, so you just press it onto the wall and feed your wire through. So now we have our wire fished through the wire track, and we can push this down on top of the transformer as best we can so that it's fully covering the wire. We have our back plate for the Lynx Touch L7000, and we're just going to feed our wire through the back here. There's actually a nice little slot on the back that we can feed it, so it's flush with the wall. And so we're going to want to cut a length approximately here. We want to leave a little slack so when we're working on the inside. We want to be very careful though that we do not cut this while the transformer is plugged in. So now that we have the wire track ready, we unplug our transformer, and we're just going to cut our wire somewhere around here so we're ready to go. We know our mounting height. We're going to use our level and our pencil to determine our screw holes. So this is going to sit right above the top of the wire track. Make sure that this is level, because we always want to make a nice clean installation. And then we have our 4 screw holes on our back plate. We just mark our holes. We have our 4 screw holes. We can set this aside so that we can drill our holes for our wall anchors and screws. So now that we've marked our holes so that our L7000 will be nice and level and centered over our outlet, we're going to drill our screw holes. We have a 3/16 drill bit. We have our 4 screws and wall anchors. Push our wall anchors in. And we can now screw our back plate to the wall. So our wall anchors are in. We're going to mount our back plate now. We have our 4 screws. We've switched to our screwdriver for our power drill. Line up our holes. Don't screw all the way in, but enough that you can hang it. Do the other top one. Going to do that one all the way, and then we can tighten the rest. You don't need to go too hard, it'll warp the plastic a little bit, but just enough that it's nice and secure on the wall. Check our handiwork. We are off slightly. You can adjust that simply by loosening your screws and tightening them back down so you got a nice level panel. Now our back plate's on the wall. We haven't fished our wire yet, so we can unscrew that and get the wire to come in through here to make our connection. Okay, we now have our L7000 backplate mounted to the wall. We have our wire track with double-sided sticky tape, which comes right on the back. We just peeled it off and pressed it onto the wall because we started from the outlet up. It was the perfect length. We fed our wire through the wire track on the back of the unit, which allows us to have this flush to the wall without pinching the wire. And we're now ready to proceed. We have our battery, rechargeable battery pack. It sits right into this compartment. There is a notch in the plastic where you feed the wire, and then you have 3 wire tie-down points or wire clips. You simply feed the wire into the clip. We have one going left, right, left, and our wire is nice and secure. You can see that this battery just wants to fall out. So some of the hardware that came with the panel, we have this plastic arm, and there's a little tab on the bottom which hooks underneath, and then there's a screw at the top. When we looked into our hardware bag, there was a smaller screw, much smaller than the 4 that we used for the back plate. That's the screw to use to mount this battery. We're going to hold this bar down, hold the screw in place. Screw it down nice and tight so the battery's not going anywhere. Next, we want to reconnect our front plate, which is the circuitry of the unit. And we simply reattach the 2 plastic hinges on the bottom, snap them into place. Now that we have our front cover attached, we want to connect our AC wiring from our transformer to the screw terminals inside the L7000 panel. We are not plugged into our outlet. We never want to be dealing with live wires here. We have our screw terminals along here, Our red positive wire is going to go to +9 VDC. You simply unscrew the screws so you have a little bit of hole in the back. You feed the wire into the back. And we're going to screw it down. We don't want to use a power screw on these little screw terminals. We're just going to use our little Phillips head. Screw it down nice and tight. That's our positive connection. Our black negative goes to GND terminal, which is ground, which is directly to the left. So we're using the two right terminals all the way to the right, as close to the DC connector as possible. We screw that down and just give a nice firm tug on both wires. They're not going anywhere. We've pulled this up through the wire track so that we have all the slack up in the panel, so that it'll be nice and tight at the bottom since we work from the bottom up. And we are now ready to plug in and turn our system on. So I'm just going to hold this panel up so you can see as it boots, as the power comes on. Just going to simply plug our transformer into the outlet. You can see the screen booting up. While it's booting, I'm going to connect the battery to the battery clip on the panel. The two-prong plug goes for the standard capacity battery. We're now plugged in for AC power as well as battery. We close it up, snap the two tabs on the top, and our system is on and booting up. You'll notice it says system standby at the top. Eventually, after a minute or so, this will switch to green at the top, saying ready to arm. You can force it over, and as a shortcut when it's booting, by pressing the home button, we are now green, ready to arm. Our L7000 installation video is complete. We have a nice, clean, secure panel on the wall. We have our wire track, which made our wiring as easy and efficient as possible while still making it look very clean and neat. If you wanted to be more professional and go a little bit further with that, you could have fished the wire through the wall, up through the back, into the panel. We show you how to do that in our L5100 Links Touch installation video. And for those that don't even want to deal with this, with our L5200 video, we show you how to desk mount a Links Touch system. So that would be the easiest way. We always prefer to have something mounted on the wall, but for those that would rather do it that way, we invite you to take a look at that video. If you have any questions on your L7000 installation, please email us at support@alarmgrid.com and make sure to subscribe to our channel.